What if I told you that you're measuring ROI incorrectly? And if you continue to do that, it will quietly sabotage all your business goals. But before we start talking about measuring ROI for video content, let's define which kind of ROI for video content we're going to be talking about. There are two types of ROI: tangible and intangible. Tangible ROI is what most people think of. It's using analytic tools to measure for a very specific outcome. We're talking views, engagement, conversion rate, click-through rate, leads, and sales. But I can already hear some of you saying, but Andre, all I care about is sales. I want to put in $1 and I want to get out $10. That's great. I don't know how you are, but I don't wake up in the morning thinking, what kind of stranger who I've never heard from before can I give my hard-earned money to? So before you can make the sales, you have to have some form of engagement. They have to know who you are in order to buy from you. To put it simply, customers have a problem, they're looking for a solution, and they want to buy a product that will solve their problem. But none of that starts without awareness. The customer-client journey starts with awareness. And unlike most people believe, it ends with retention, not sales. Sales is part of it, but ultimately you want to retain the client. Now, video marketing content has to be created for each step of this process, and it has to be created in a way that supports the goal and the metric for each of those steps. A video created for sales is not going to give you a lot of retention. And same thing for a video created for awareness. That's not going to give you a lot of conversion. So you have to create a specific type of content with a specific outcome that you want. Otherwise, things are just not going to work the way you want, and you're not going to get the ROI you want as well. I say all that to make a point that a video created for awareness is not going to generate leads or sales, and that's okay. But when it comes to measuring ROI with these analytic tools or tangible tools, we have to make sure that we're measuring it correctly. Otherwise, we're just going to be frustrated. It'd be like buying a car and getting upset because the car doesn't fly. It's not meant to, it wasn't built that way. So, don't get upset if your car doesn't fly. At least not yet. I say all this because before we move into each of the specific analytic tools for each of the tangible things we're going to measure, it's important to define which tangible ROI we're measuring for. Because again, if we measure a video built for awareness and we use the tools designed to measure for sales, it's not going to work. Google Analytics. With Google Analytics, you can track where visitors came from and what they go within your site, basically what they do in your site. Now, this is a free tool that's available to anybody who has a Google account, but you might have to do some back-end code adding on your website so you can track, so Google can actually track where they go within the site. But this is completely free. This is a good tool for tracking conversions. It's a good tool for tracking awareness building. Actually, that's not even true. I wouldn't even say it's a good tool for awareness. It's really a good tool for converting. Are people going into your site? Are they showing interest in the product or service, or who you are? If you are selling other forms of services like consulting and that kind of stuff. UTM parameters within Google Analytics. Now, this is another free tool from Google, and within Google, within the Google Analytics page, it's kind of hard to find, but you have to dig a little bit. But if you search for campaign URL builder, you can create a unique link. Now, why is this important? This is important because you can have different forms of calls to action in a video or a landing page. In this case, it would be a video because we're doing video marketing. So on your YouTube channel, you can have a very specific link at the end. And you can have a link in the beginning of the video, and you can have a link in the description. So you can do different kind of link tracking. And so first of all, which call to action is working better, because sometimes not all call to actions are going to work the same way. And this is a good way to see which one is going to be the best link to use, and then replicate that if that's the if that's what's helping. So a little bit more of a setup, and but I think also a good way to track people. If you want to know everything about watch time, engagement, and retention, then YouTube analytics is going to be the thing that you want to have a good relationship with. I always be looking at it. This is a good way to see if a video performs well and people are engaging with it, if they're watching the whole thing. Now, this is great. Why is this important? Who cares, right? Well, you care because if, let's say, a video has um, a lot of retention, so people are really watching it, they're really engaging with the video. One of the good strategies is that make that into a paid ad with a call to action at the end. So that way, that not only are you getting engagement, basically the engagement is a proof of concept that is saying to you, yes, this video works really, really well. It's not just that, but that's one of the good strategies that we use to boost ultimately sales. Because if something's converting well, then there's something about it that works. And if you put a little bit of money behind it in the form of ads, then it will work even better. Facebook, Instagram insights, same idea here. They have, engagement tools. They have watch time retention tools in Facebook, Instagram as well. And the same thing happens here. So if you're getting, a lot of engagement, you're getting a lot of clicks, then it's a good idea to maybe make that into a pay ad later, so that it pushes the client or customer to the next step on that sales journey. So you definitely watch for Facebook and Instagram insights. CRM software. I mentioned before HubSpot. This is what I use. And yes, you do get additional information from the CRM because they're probably using the UTM parameters I mentioned before. So not only do I get information on where this person came from, which link of mine they have used, but I also get information of who they are a little bit. Because you can usually says Joe Smith works for IBM, and IBM makes $400 million a year, whatever. It's all that I might be underselling IBM quite a bit. I don't know what IBM's market cap is now, but that's the point. Like, you get a lot of information with the UTM parameters that are built into the CRM software. So that's also a good thing to have. Unique landing pages and phone numbers. This is an old, free and cheap and dirty way to track for conversion, because basically what you do is you create a landing page on your website that's not attached to your menu, right? So no one can get there unless they have the specific link. Then you take that very specific link and you put that, let's say, on the description on your YouTube channel or in a specific video. For example, on our page, on this page, on this YouTube channel, one of the links is to an appointment software, so you can make an appointment and have a consult with me, right? So I know that specific link came from YouTube, because that specific link only goes from YouTube to that landing page. Another way to do that, it's even an older way of doing it. Back in my day, boys and girls, there used to be something called a telephone. And you could, if you knew the number, you could dial on your handheld computer here, and you could talk to a person, not an AI. Isn't that crazy? So if you have a specific phone number, let's say we have a 1-800 number on the description page on your YouTube channel, or you flash it on the screen, if you want to do something cool, like, this is the ZooLeey phone number right here, call this number. And this number is only available in this video. So if I know that you call this number, is because you are watching my video. Now, this is the only paid tool that I'm going to talk about. This is attributor.io. Attributor.io is similar to the UTM parameters, but it gives you a lot more information. So Attributor actually gives you information not only of where the person's coming from, but who the person is. So it's pretty complex. You can track not only the traffic source, you can also track the lead quality because let's say that John Smith makes $80,000 a year, or maybe that this person has a job title that you want to, the position they have in the company is decision making position, so you can talk to them. But yeah, so attributor is pretty powerful. It does cost money. It's the only paid analytic tool that I talked about today. All the other tools, nothing in life is free, but all the other tools don't cost anything. The landing pages, it's going to cost your time to set them up, and phone numbers. You can get Google numbers and things like that, but phone numbers don't cost that much now. But attributor does cost something. I'm not quite sure on the pricing information, but I'll put a link here. I am not even currently using attributor.io, and I have no relationship with them whatsoever. I just saw the tool and I thought it was interesting and I thought it was useful. But and I don't get any commission from sending you guys their way. So, but yeah, but attributor.io definitely worth checking out from what I can see. Now let's talk about intangible ROI. I always said in my life that I was never going to own a Harley Davidson. I always admired how well built they were. I like the fact that they were made in America. I mean, the craftsmanship on the bikes are amazing. It wasn't my style. It was never my thing. But throughout the years, I've seen the ads, and I know what it is. Everybody knows. Everybody's aware of Harley Davidson. But over the years, they came out with other products. But I never liked the style of the bikes. I was more of like, if I ever had a bike, I'm gonna get one of those Ninja bikes. I thought those were way cooler. Until until they came out with this thing, and now I went from being aware of the brand to considering it. I mean, the bike looks beautiful, and I know it's a legitimate good brand. In fact, I really like what they built over the years. But the point of all this, I tell you this story because it took Harley Davidson 48 years to take me from awareness to considering it. How do you measure that ROI? You don't. So building awareness over time gives you the ROI that is, what's the word I'm looking for? The compounds over time. So it's not a straight line. It's more of a puck line. But it may seem like you're not getting any ROI, but trust me, as time goes on and you invest in building awareness on your company. And here's the other thing. Warren Buffett said, you can lose me money and that's forgiven, but don't ever lose my reputation because that's unforgivable. And what Harley Davidson has done is created a reputation by creating content. And, back then it was mostly print ads and maybe some videos for TV over time. And so now that once they created a product that filled a gap that they had in the product line, this bike looks different than any other Harley Davidson bike I've ever seen. Now I'm interested in the bike, even though it's a horrible idea and I shouldn't get it. But it caught my attention. So the ROI, very difficult to measure in a, let's say, month-to-month basis. But overall, you can definitely see that. And this is very closely related to the next point, which is fan creation. If you ever talk to anybody who has an Apple product, like me, Um, I became a fan of Apple because if you look at it, until they went into silicon, the Apple silicon chips, which are a ARM architecture that's specifically designed for them. So it runs a lot faster, it runs a lot cooler. It's very superior to any of the previous Intel chips they were using before. The old Intel chips used to overheat, and one of the reasons why. See, I'm already doing it. I'm already fanboying Apple to prove a point. Content can create long-time fans. They can create fans that will do your marketing for you. One of the first things I noticed with marketing is that all marketing and advertisement is designed to create word of mouth, right? Because if I tell my friend Joe about this awesome iPad that I have and how wonderful the experience was, and I take it to his house, I'm like, look at this thing, man. It's so fast. It's so cool. That's better marketing than anything that anybody can create. And in fact, marketing is designed to create to create the word of mouth, the excitement on the people that you know and love, so they can sell you, because they can sell you better than anybody else. But fan creation is something that's hard to measure, because think about it, if there was an analytic tool, if Steve Jobs wanted to know back then, why Andre bought the first iPad, it's probably because when he went to the graphic designer, he saw an Apple computer, and the guy's telling me how much better this was than anything else he ever had. So that already put the bug in my head. And then, you know what I mean? Like later on, when they came out with, again, another product that fulfill a segment that was in need, when they created an iPad, then I jumped on it. And I've been an Apple customer ever since. So that's the other thing. Very hard to measure the ROI, fan creation. I guess one way to measure for fan creation is that you could look at your YouTube analytics and you can see if your subscriber count is going up. That's usually a good sign, but it's not a direct thing. Subscribers does not equal fans. There are people there who don't like you at all, and they're just there to say mean things in the comment sections, which none of you should do. But anyways, hard to measure, but very important thing to look into, because it is influence, it is trust, it is attention, and you need those things before anybody buys anything. So, authority position. Many moon ago, I used to be a personal trainer at a box gym. And when I first started working, it was really hard to get clients because I was new. I had no previous clients, and no one really knew if I could deliver. So over time, what happens, especially in a box gym, is that people see you working out with your clients, and they see how you pay attention to them. You see the results they are getting. And before you know, all those eyes on you translate to sales. But that happens because people are seeing how well you're doing with the people that you're already working with. So in a box gym where everybody's watching you, you get a lot of free marketing that way. And all the free marketing put me in an authority position. So people were not only coming in looking for me as, a guy to show me the machines. No, this is a guy who can change my body. This is a guy that can help me be healthier. So people coming in asking me questions or interested in working with me because they've seen the past, they've seen what I've done. But now what that does is that the sales process is way easier for me. I don't have to convince somebody that they need a trainer. They already know they need a trainer. They already know what I can do. They've seen it. So it's just a matter of seeing which package it was better for them, as opposed to convincing them during the sales process why they should work with me. And when you do video marketing, just like I'm doing right now, and putting myself in an expert position, it makes the selling of whatever you're trying to sell a lot easier. So the ROI for an authority position, it might just be that once somebody calls your sales team, it's not a question of whether or not they should go with you. It's just a question of which product that you sell is the right one for me. Again, same thing as Apple. Let's use Apple again, an example. I don't think I will ever buy a Windows-based PC ever again because I think Apple is the authority on making PCs that work well for me. Are they as fast or as powerful as Windows-based PCs? Sometimes no, they're not. Sometimes the specs are lower. But because I trust the company, because they are an authority on the field, then it's not which Apple device I'm going to buy. I'm sorry. It's not which. It's not whether or not which. If I'm going to buy a PC or an Apple device, it's which Apple device I'm going to buy. So that's a different conversation altogether when it comes to sales, and I think that is ROI. That's very hard to measure, but your sales team will certainly feel it. So if video content is helping you put yourself in an authority position, even though the sales may not directly come from a link from the video to a sales page, but you see that your sales teams are now producing way more than before, then it's not a far-fetched assumption that the video content is making their jobs easier. Customer retention. It's a lot harder and more expensive to get a new client than it is to maintain your client. Usually the things that cause clients to be unhappy and leave can be alleviated with some video content. So I'm going to give you some examples right here. Let's say, frequently asked questions. Usually people have questions that need answers, and sometimes you may think they're silly. They might be silly to you, but they are not silly to the homeowner who has never done a renovation before and has no idea how the HVAC system is going to get installed in his house. So having almost like an onboarding video showcasing, hey, Joe, this is what's going to happen. This is the process. This is how long it's going to take. This is what we need in order to do the work. We need to have access, and it's going to take so much time. So the person already knows, as opposed to not knowing, which makes the experience a little worse for them. So having video that kind of addresses frequently asked questions is a really good way to make sure that you are retaining the clients that you have. Especially, even later, in some example, let's say, okay, this thing is installed in my house. I have no idea how to turn it on. We had a client one time that they used to make these really awesome windows that one of the FAQs, and we made a video for that. But a lot of the question was like, how the hell do you open the window? He had a very European fancy way where the knob would, do different operations based on the position of the knob. So you could tilt the glass, or you could completely elevate it or remove it depending on the position. So there was a lot of very intricate mechanical things within the frame of the window. And so we made a video showcasing how that works, because a lot of the calls they were getting is like, okay, yeah, we just spent literally millions of dollars to put these windows in the building, but how do you open them? So that it just makes doing business with them better for next time, right? Because they know, the customer knows that, oh wow, they thought of everything. So I would want to do business with somebody like that for sure, and also give them my repeat business. So that's how we're able to help out there. But the other thing too is, because they know how the product works, and this is more for clients that are doing product stuff, product sales, is that reduces their returns. Returns are bad for businesses, right? You get a product that's already open. Yeah, you can probably sell it if you have, sell it again if you have like an outlet in your website or something like that, or you have enough margin, right? So you obviously gonna have to sell it for a discounted rate. But if you can avoid the return, because again, people know how to use the product correctly, then that's also a return on investment for video production that you may not be able to directly measure. It's something that you'll feel in your bottom line, but you won't be able to measure that directly. So that's very intangible in that way as well. And lastly, I would say repurposing content. Now, repurposing content is something that we do here as well. This video is going to be repurposed for Instagram, and it's going to be repurposed from YouTube. And actually, it's going to be mainly on YouTube and be repurposed for Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are the platforms that we use the most here. And that's also, again, returning investment. Let's say if you have a video that does really well on YouTube, and why would you go and pay us again, even though it's great for us? You know, we want to always be giving our clients the best value. And in this case, the best value is not to reshoot the video if you don't have to, right? If the content didn't change, it's just a matter of chopping it up and maybe changing a little bit on the edit, right? To fit the platform better and to have some kind of call to action to the platform, or perhaps have a specific hook for the platform. Then great, then we can do that. But we don't have to reshoot the thing a lot of the time. Sometimes we will shoot things specifically for Instagram and LinkedIn, just because those platforms are getting big enough. And depending on what the client wants and who their customers are, where they live online, then it's better to just create content. But in most cases, one of the intangible ROIs is that you can film something once and you can edit and chop it down and make it specific for different platforms. So now they know not to ignore intangible ROIs. Watch this video next, where we're going to talk about each of the steps of the sales cycle and how we create specific content to address the needs of each.